Welcome to the Optimists Always Win Forum, where we learn how to move from defeat to life's C-suite. Your host today is award-winning speaker, stage 4 cancer survivor, and renowned diversity trainer, Kimberly S. Reed.
Hi, my name is Kimberly Reed, author of Optimists Always Win. Welcome to today's segment of Optimists Always Win Virtual Forum. I will be sitting down with some incredible people over the next month. Today, I am joined by the gorgeous and fun Jennifer Freeman, B. Wray, the remarkable Thomas Smith, and the Pastor Debra Morton. And how did you find a higher purpose that helped you to become optimistic? So this is for everyone. So I'm going to look to hear from all of you. Thomas, you want to start with us since you ended the last time?
August 2nd, 2008, I'm paralyzed. I suffered my first paralyzing accident. October 1st, 2009, second paralyzing accident. January 11th, 2010, third paralyzed accident. First documented person in medical history paralyzed 3 separate times. And it was a moment that I'll never forget where I really saw and how I became an optimist and turned a terrible situation into something that created my purpose. Was after my second accident, I just and I'm going to keep your program PG, even though I'm going to bust on it. I'm not going to say the profound F word that we often use in Boston, but I had just exchanged a bunch of F words with my doctor, and I was not in the best place mentally, and we got into it, and basically I was avoiding therapy. I was why me? My whole world had been ripped upside down, and I'm in my hospital bed, and I look out in the hallway, and there's a little boy going by in a wheelchair, power wheelchair, paralyzed from his neck down. He's controlling it by his tongue. And at that moment, I stopped in my tracks and I got in my wheelchair. I'm paralyzed from my waist down at this moment. And as I was rounding the corner to I just had this moment where I had to interact. I had to ask, what happened? Just talk to his parents. His father was picking up his arms to hug his mother. And I went back into my room and I lost it. I cried like a baby for 2 hours. Without getting into too much of his story, he was paralyzed to no fault of his own. In an incident that involved violence. And so I'm thinking to myself, I had the opportunity to go back to hockey. Even though it was 3 different accidents, it was my choice. It wasn't like, yes, I didn't want to obviously have my paralyzing injuries, but it was my choice to go back. And when I really focused on, instead of why me, why not me, I said, okay, your purpose in life was literally to put the puck in back of net and provide people with instant gratification. Now you have an opportunity to do something that's greater than yourself. In that 18 months, if you will, is when my whole really life changed.
That's such a powerful, powerful testimony and story. And for you to, for you to have that revelation, right, of seeing someone else and then reflecting on what's really important for you. And it seems like it gave you strength. It gave you a definitely powerful level of optimism, but it also gave you a very significant level of strength to face what you were walking through.
Yeah, I mean, it came back to, I remember vividly, and this is something I don't think that, I'll ever forget, going after seeing that little boy, going back to my hospital room, really hysterically crying and saying, "You selfish expletive. How could you be so selfish and say, why me? This is terrible." When I'm paralyzed my waist down, it could be neck down. I could be dead. It's all about perspective, right? And when I really shifted my mindset from the actual problem, focusing on the negativity, to the optimism, being like, okay, it could have been neck down, but it's waist down. Yes, this is terrible, but I guess the point I'm making, Kim, is it can always be worse, right? And I think each one of us, that you're speaking with, can identify with that in a very clear way that hopefully will transcend and allow people to, when they face obstacles in their life, overcome the challenges. Because I know each one of us obviously have a unique story. But for me, it was when I took the focus off myself And then I started asking the hard question, why not me? And that really a problem, there's always an opportunity if you're still breathing and you're willing to put your best foot forward.
I think my greatest challenge was my divorce. I went through a divorce. I mean, it was devastating. You know, you don't get married to get divorced, right? And I just found myself so broken. It was a really unhealthy relationship. I wanted to it's very easy to say, why me? You know, put the blame on someone else, right? But I really wanted to take responsibility for the part that I played in getting into an unhealthy relationship. And so I had to really go back through my childhood and realize that I wasn't whole before I even entered into this marriage. You know, God took me on this journey. He took me on this journey. I was molested when I was 3. And so I just had all of these different things that had kind of got me to the point where my world came crashing down, where it looked like it was the divorce, but it was really just the culmination of all of these different experiences. And then divorce was like the final straw. And so I just took that opportunity to say, hey, you know, God, this is rock bottom, but I really want to be better for myself. I want to be better for my daughter. And I really want to get to the root of all of these issues and heal. And so I found that, you know, God walking me through this process, I decided to be celibate. And it was just one of the best things that could ever happen to me, because I went on this process of healing and just, I really was honest with myself. I didn't even love myself. You know, I had had so many accomplishments from the outside looking in, but I hadn't dealt with the inner me. So this allowed me to really rebuild, you know, from a healthy place. And then I found so much purpose in that. It's not about just overcoming these things. Like, God can make it as though these things had never even happened to you. You don't have to just go through these things in life. Like, God can really restore you to the point that it's never really happened to you. And that's really like why we're all here, right? Someone can relate to each story. Like, wow, they really went through that and they're coming out victorious on the other side. Like, I can do it too.
Thank you so much. And yes, Jennifer, I see the strength from your journey, and it's very encouraging, especially as popular as you are, to be trans. I just want to quickly say to the question that you posed, something that we've gone through, how were we able to find optimism or be optimistic? She said a key word that's in my response, and it is purpose. When you do not know your purpose, you will respond to sometimes any and everything. And I want to change the word a little bit to calling. How did I rise above to become optimistic in some of my worst situations, Katrina, even COVID? It was my calling that equals to me, because it's, as she talked about God, I'm a believer. And I want to throw this in. People who don't believe do believe. You're still going to have trials. You're still going to go through. It's just, to me, it's wise to have someone, a spirit of God to help you. Because good Lord, when I listen to Thomas, when I listen to people, and like you said, the little boy, you know, you look at that and it's like, how does a person survive without the God who made them on their side and to talk to go to? Because some people will never understand. But I love Miles Monroe, who passed away, who was prolific in the scriptures and also in life and business. And he said, no one knows the purpose of a thing except the creator of that thing. Yeah. Christ came to show us he was made in God's image, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to preach, but listen, my ability to rise to an optimistic place in the worst times, I wrote the book Beyond the Storm, is because my calling, Jennifer, my purpose equated to my responsibility. My responsibility led to, Thomas, my adaptability. it's like what we say, if I went to the ghetto, what you gonna do in your situation? Are you gonna just lie down and die and let all that good stuff on the other side go to waste? Because I'm optimistic, as I said earlier, that there is better on the other side. I've already been through a lot of storms, and I crossed over, and I'm beyond those storms. And then my responsibility to lead people, even with COVID. You know, I'm a people person like you, but I shut in too because my responsibility to my congregation became more important than me going to a restaurant to have a meal. It's like, really, I want to live and not die and declare the works of the Lord. I want to help other people to find purpose. I want to help people who are in a place like Jennifer. I have a women's movement. So what am I going to do? Just be silly, depressed, down and out, just bust out, go where I want to go with the with the possibility of getting ill or whatever, just to have a little gratification for myself? No, my responsibility led to my adaptability. And as Thomas said, as I adapted, I was actually able to do more. I'm going to say my knucklehead congregation looked like they paid more attention to me on the streaming. I don't know if I looked cuter or what, or I wasn't focused on them, but I was able to adapt and to feed them words of encouragement and adaptability and responsibility. So that is how my optimism came. Like, if I can walk in my calling that I didn't call myself to, walking in my purpose that I was created to, it's just a good fit. Yeah. When I'm not in somebody else's shoes, I'm in my own shoes, doing my own thing for God and for the people, and because he loves people. And so I had to learn that responsibility, adaptability.
When I think about optimism, so often we make the mistake of thinking, if X happens, then I can be optimistic. If X happens, then I can have hope.
Yep.
There was a time in my life I was facing over $700,000 of personal debt. I was the sole provider and sole caretaker for 3 amazing but very young children. And I was constantly getting interrupted, or people would stop by and they say, I don't know how you do all that you do, and you do it with a smile. And I answered, because I can't do it with a frown.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I think we have to remember. We don't ride our bikes without pumping up our tires. My kids don't play basketball with a deflated ball. Why would we walk into the world with less energy, less creativity, less attractiveness, less possibility? We must put on our armor, including optimism, to walk into the world. And so that was one thing I just wanted to share for me, and that really fueled me. A second thing that Jennifer made me think about, when you took the courage to take control of your destiny, was one of the best days in my life was after my devastating divorce that had left me in that situation I just described. And I always thought about our life as a circle that I had half of. And it was this place where he could not love me, was the way I received it. But then I realized I get full responsibility of the choice to love him. No longer married, no longer connected, no longer tied, but I don't have to hold on to any anger, any frustration, any disappointment, any negativity. And I am actually now remarried. But when I went through after 10 years, the redemption story, it's so great. But when I started finally after 10 years dating people, I said, I will not hate my ex-husband. I will not, like, that can't be part of my deal, because choosing to love was such a powerful tool. It was a piece of armor, and it just fueled me. And what's really cool is, in my mind, I got half of the circle. But you know how love is, it expands, and you get much, much more than half of the circle. So thank you for bringing that back up for me, Jennifer.